Buenos días. Aquí tenemos los apuntes capítulo 7, el imperfecto. The imperfect. You know 3 verb tenses so far. El presente de indicativo, the one you learned in Spanish 1. El pretérito, the one you learned a few chapters ago, the past tense. And el presente del subjuntivo, the one we use for negative commands so far. We'll do more presente de subjuntivo work in Español 3. That's the one, remember, when we would switch the endings of AR with ER-IR and ER-IR with AR endings. We typically only used the tu form, though, so far. So let's review. Conjugate the verb hablar in the presente de indicativo, the Spanish 1 form, in the lines provided. Then conjugate in the pretérito, the past tense form, in the lines provided. And then use your presente de subjuntivo, your negative command, in the one line provided, since again we only used the tu form. Pause whenever you need to do that, like for example right now as you write. Continuing, your answers should have been filled in as yo, under the presente of course, yo hablo, tú hablas, él, ella, usted habla, nosotros hablamos, ellos, ellas, ustedes hablan. Under pretérito, you should have written yo hablé with an accent mark, tú hablaste, él, ella, usted habló with an accent mark, nosotros hablamos, ellos, ellas, ustedes hablaron. Under the mandato negativo, the subjuntivo, for the tu form, you would put hables. We would say no hables, for example. Now we're going to use or work with the imperfecto, or in English known as the imperfect. Now, this is another past tense. The preterite is used to talk about completed actions in the past. We have time markers to help us decide to use the preterite, such as in the sentence below. We have, ayer yo vi una película muy buena. Here, we have the adverb of time, ayer. This tells us specifically when it happened and when it ended. So as you translate, pause, write it down, and then play again. So ayer yo vi una película muy buena means yesterday I saw a very good movie. Vi is in the pretérito, in the preterite past tense. To talk about what you used to do or would do or were like in the past, we use the past form of called el imperfecto. It may also be used to tell how old you were or what time it was in the past. For example, yo tenía muchos juguetes. Translate that. It should read, I had a lot of toys, or I used to have a lot of toys. Either one works. Escribíamos cartas largas. Should translate to, we used to write long letters. All AR verbs are regular in the imperfect tense. That's what's great about the imperfect tense. There really are only 3 irregular verbs in all this verb tense. The ER and IR verbs share the same endings. All verbs have an accent mark in the nosotros form of el imperfecto. So let's look at how that works. An AR verb ends in, if you look under jugar, the aba endings. So let's go through them. Practice on your own, repeating. Yo jugaba. Tú jugabas. Él, ella, usted jugaba. Nosotros jugábamos. Ellos, ellas, ustedes jugaban. The verb tener, ER verb. Notice the ER verbs and IR verbs, looking at escribir as well, all end in the ia, ias endings. Notice all of these forms have an accent mark on their I. Let's go through the pronunciation. Practice on your own. Yo tenía, tú tenías, él, ella, usted tenía, nosotros teníamos, ellos, ellas, ustedes tenían. Escribir. Yo escribía, tú escribías, él, ella, usted escribía, nosotros escribíamos, ellos, ellas, ustedes escribían. Now try translating the following examples. They continue on página 2. You need to translate I used to play soccer. So let's kind of do this one together. First, figure out what is the verb in the sentence. If you chose to play, that's correct. So now we know it's in the past tense and we're saying I used to do this. So that's our indicator that we're going to use the imperfect, el imperfecto. So look above. You have the verb jugar there. Put it in the correct imperfect tense of the I form. Then figure out how to say soccer in español. If you remember correctly, your sentence should have read, Yo jugaba el fútbol. Let's look at the others. She used to have a lot of photos of her trips. Again, figure out the verb, put it in the imperfect tense, and then move on. This sentence should read, Ella tenía muchas fotos de sus viajes. You could have also said, de sus excursiones, de sus recorridos, any of those words for trips that we have learned. Our last example, you used to write postcards during the summers. Figure out the verb. Should be escribir. It should read, Tú escribías tarjetas postales durante los veranos. Moving on to more imperfecto. Now I did tell you there were some irregular verbs in this tense. There are only 3. Ir, ver, and ser. Looking at ir, let's go through the pronunciation. Yo iba. Tú ibas. Él, ella, usted iba. Nosotros íbamos. Notice the accent mark on that I. Ellos, ellas, ustedes iban. Looking at ver. Practice your pronunciation. Yo veía. Tú veías. Él, ella, usted veía. Nosotros veíamos. Ellos, ellas, ustedes veían. Notice all of them have accent marks on the I, just like we do on the ER, IR verbs. Ser, looking at ser, practice your pronunciation. Yo era. Tú eras. Él, ella, usted era. Nosotros éramos. Notice the accent mark. Ellos, ellas, ustedes eran. So now you need to translate the following sentences. We used to go to the museum and would see Spanish art. Notice in bold print are the verbs that you should use. So look above for help you might need. And then also apply older verbs and using them in the imperfect tense. So that sentence should read, Íbamos al museo y veíamos arte español. I used to go to soccer games, but they would last too long. Should read, Iba a los partidos de fútbol, pero duraban mucho tiempo. The verb durar is would last. We also use the imperfecto for ser when we describe people and things in the past. So anytime you're describing someone or something in the past, you must use the imperfecto to do this. For example, let's look at the following sentence. When I was a little girl, we used to go to the library and would read stories. So I'm starting off with a description of somebody in the past. It should read, Cuando era niña, or something similar to it, íbamos a la biblioteca y leíamos cuentos, or historias, if you like. Cuando era niña, íbamos a la biblioteca y leíamos cuentos. The imperfecto of I is había, or there used to be. Remember that verb I? Well, we can also have had it in the past. There is versus there used to be, había. The plural form is the same as the singular, just as it is in the present tense. We don't have any different form. We have I or había. So let's look at the difference between the present and the imperfect. Looking at the samples, hay una tienda aquí should read, there is a store here. Notice it's in the present tense. The next statement, antes había una iglesia allí y había 3 tiendas allá, should read, before there used to be a church there and there used to be 3 stores over there. Notice había is your used to be, and they no longer are.